Alright, for my special presentation, I decided to do the Huntsville unit, aka the Walls unit, located in Huntsville, Texas. It's also the death chamber for all of Texas executions. So this is it pictured right here. This is what the front is. This is the only way you can enter in and out if you're not an employee. This is some of the cells, some of the newer cells that they have built, added on to the building. And then this is obviously the death chamber where they do the executions. Alright, so some history is that it was built in 1849. It's the oldest prison in the state of Texas. It's home to the death row in the Texas justice system. And the reason it's nicknamed the Walls is because they have 4 giant brick walls all on the side of the building, and that's what it's known for. Executions first started out in this prison by hanging up until 1923. And then after that, they started doing, obviously, electrocution from 1923 to 1964. And this was actually the actual chair that they used to commit all of those executions. It's now in the Texas Prison Museum. That's also in Huntsville. After they did the electrocution executions, they decided to go with lethal injection, which is what we do today. This chair is nicknamed Old Sparky, which is kind of morbid in a sense, as it killed hundreds of people. Originally, the Huntsville unit was only for white Texans because the only penalty for black Texans was whipping and hanging. 569 total executions since 1982, probably more than that because they only kept count until 1982. Okay. So, one of the most historic and notorious cases involving the Huntsville prison was the 1974 Huntsville prison outbreak. So, in 1974, the Huntsville prison siege, I think that's how you say that, was an 11-day prison break attempt on July 24th to August 3rd. It's one of the longest standoffs in U.S. history. It was the ringleader of it all was Fred Gomez Carrasco, and 2 other inmates initiated the uprising in the library of the unit. They were able to smuggle guns in there and then just all went into this library and started shooting and taking hostages and stuff. So Fred, the reason why he was locked up was he was one of the most powerful heroin kingpins in Texas at the time and was serving a life sentence for attempted murder of an officer. They had smuggled guns into the prison and held hostages within the library. The convicts made a number of demands, such as tailored suits, dress shoes, toothpaste, cologne, walkie-talkies, and bulletproof helmets, all of which were provided, obviously, so they wouldn't hurt the hostages. Then their last day, they asked for an armored getaway car that was provided to them, and the inmates were going to use it to escape. The prison librarian and the prison teacher went with the inmates towards the car, sort of as a don't shoot me, I have a hostage type thing. But then they were fatally shot by the inmates after a shootout broke out between the inmates and law enforcement that were waiting for them outside. 2 of the 3 inmates were shot and killed, and the only one of the inmates that tried to break out that survived was put in solitary confinement. He was actually executed later on in the years for that. And then this is a news article right here that broke out in the Time. This is Fred Gomez Carrasco. He was the ringleader in all of it. He initiated all the plans. He was basically the mastermind behind it all. This was sort of a view of them when they were trying to get out. They were inching down this little rail here with they had used chalkboards and a bunch of books all stacked together as a shield, as well as the hostages. And then this right here is the library where they were. It's all trash, and this is after they had killed them all and taken the hostages back to safety. And so another part of the Huntsville prison system is the Joe Bird Cemetery. So this is what it looks like right here. And so it is the official prison cemetery of Texas and the largest. It also goes by the name of Peckerwood Hill, which Peckerwood is an African American insult towards white people because those buried here were poor. Back then the prison was only white inmates, so that makes sense. Prisoners who die either by execution or other means and aren't claimed by their family are buried here. The cemetery has around 3,000 prisoner bodies buried, and this is actually in Huntsville as well. So this right here is one of the older body, so if it has a cross, it was older, and the only information provided on like the body that's buried here is the day they died and their execution, not their execution number, their prison number, and that's it. They got a little more sentimental now that they have these sort of gravestones, and it actually has their name, their prison number, and the day they died. If you ever see one that has like an X before it and number 999, that means they were executed. If they don't, they died by other means like stabbing or something like that. And that's it for today. That's all the information that I can give you guys.